I'm standing here with my friends, the Tiger Barbs, the Sumi as we call them, and we have a good connection, I can feel that. You guys too have a good connection with them because I read the comments under the setup video. Today I'm going to do a boosting session on the layout. I'm not going to do a big work on this aquarium because mostly when nature takes over aquascapes, it's gonna cover all the mistakes that you made. But sometimes there are some mistakes that cannot be hidden by just the plants growing. And that's what we're gonna cover today. Welcome to the beautiful world of aquascaping. I just love saltwater aquariums. I had one at home at one time for a short time. We had one at Green Aqua before, but we here in Budapest are busy with building and maintaining freshwater aquariums. And I love this part of the hobby because the plants are actually changing the layout. The layout is changing more rapidly, which means a little bit more maintenance probably, but then the water parameters are not probably as important as in the saltwater hobby, although water is the #1 thing in all freshwater aquariums. So you actually have to take care of the water parameters in order to have a healthy algae-free ecosystem. When I built this layout and we released the video, I received tons of comments about how this minimalist cape is something new that is appealing to many aquascapers, so I don't want to destroy it with the tweaking session today. With that said, there are 3 main things that I want to change. Thing #1, the plants. The hairgrass here is a little bit too darkish compared to the color of the sand. I'm not going to take it out, but I'm going to just plant some Monte Carlo in between the hair grasses there. #2, big issue. This aquarium looks much better when I'm looking from below. This part is perfect. This part, however, is empty. I really want to have a little bit of detail above the water. This was #2, tweaking the wood to have some more. But for that, we need to drain the water because the point where the new wood will connect to the old one will be underwater. And then we need to cover that joint part with some epiphyte plants. #3, pebbles. I'm not happy with the pebbles. I want to change, or maybe not take them out, but like sprinkle some other grayish pebbles on top because I don't see enough detail. These are the 3 main things that I want to tweak. And while I'm working, I'm probably going to have some new ideas. So now you know what we're doing today. This is the suction basket that I'm going to apply at the end. I'm going to use that in order to protect the fish. Next thing is that I need to stop the filter. It's halfway through so that we know where it was. I'm gonna switch it off and then unplug it. And then I'm gonna unplug the CO2 as well. I also unplug the CO2 because we have an external reactor next to the 1200 XL Eheim Professionel 3 filter. And I don't want the CO2 to fill up the external reactor with gas, because then when you prime the filter later on, when you restart the filter, it's not gonna be able to push out all the gas at once and you will have a lot of CO2. So while this is draining, I'm gonna go to the hardscape room and I'm going to select some Redmoor wood pieces that would fit here. Not working. This one would look good here, probably. Or, no, this way. And then we need to actually saw this down. The Japanese pool saw. This guy needs to start from this base. Oh, too much, too high. So I think that the wood is okay, except this curly end. Good thing that I didn't break this glass inflow. I forgot to tell you guys that we have the 1200 XL Eheim Professionel 3 filter underneath, which is perfectly good for these 240 liters of water. That filter has 2 inflows and 1 outflow. You have this old wood piece, and then you have these 2 big new branches. And other than that, we'll probably have a 4th and a 5th one, very small ones that will go here. The idea is not to cut it, but to ply it down so that it looks more natural. And then as the last piece that can come here, exactly like that. So now I need to glue these guys together. This is the reversed fast fusion compound. It's holding nicely. I'm happy. Okay, so this is exactly above the water, but I would like distance it a little bit. This actually started to look great. Much better. We have some interesting stuff coming out of the aquarium. Do I need anything else here? Because we already have many big pieces above the water, which is actually helping it. This one is barely touching the water, which I like. This one is visible from in between these two guys, like there. So I think that the main structure above the water is kind of ready. I could put one more here. It's interesting enough, so it goes up and down. Yeah, actually, I'm going to put this here. The hardscape is absolutely done. There are certain things that will change in the aquarium, like the wood will get brownish, the plants will grow, the sand and the soil will move a little, but there are other things that will not change in the aquarium. For example, the wood pieces will stay the same, the hardscape will stay the same. So that's the point where you should step in, and if you don't like something, you can tweak it. No aquarium is ready from day one, in my opinion. So now you have a couple of interesting branches, you have a big mess of branches above it, but we kept the minimalism below the water. So the aquarium is still minimalist, except this part probably, which I'm going to cover with a lot of microzorum. It turns out that this inflow was holding this whole wood structure here. So now the whole thing is tilted to the left. So I need to put in a Seiryu stone, and I'm using this to actually distance it. Now this whole thing at the bottom, it's not stable. This one is against the glass here. So now the glass will actually also hold it when there's need for that. Not proper, but it's gonna be fine. This wood piece was moving strongly because it tilted down as I put in the other ones, and the whole center of weight was pulling the structure to the left. So it started to tilt. And I tried to put something underneath the base so that it keeps it tilted back while we remove this, because we don't want the whole wood to rest against the glass inflow. But then I realized that is not the solution for it, because the more rock I put, the more wobbly it got. So actually this is the rock in the middle right there that you see, and this wood piece is actually glued to it. And I had to actually support this rock from the bottom, from the left side, so that this whole structure is pushed back, and then magic, it's being held to the right. So now we could reinstall the glass inflow. I've got two types of plants right here. One is Monte Carlo, the big patch, Minicoin Anubias, the small patch. I will start with the Monte Carlo now. Oh, this is going to be hard to do because we don't have much soil. If you look from the top, you have a couple of spots of soil visible, and then I'm going to plant Monte Carlo in those empty spots. You can immediately see how much brighter this guy is. This is going to be a mix of Monte Carlo and hairgrass for now, and it might be well possible that we will only have one plant at the end. Hairgrass is much slower to grow. What not to do when you're tweaking an aquarium? First of all, do not take the plants out, especially the ones with big roots, because they're going to stir up the water, and a lot of ammonia and organics is going to be released in the water. You shouldn't start to introduce plants that would deviate from your original idea unless you want to deviate from your original idea. We wanted to keep this green, so only green plants will go in there. We wanted to keep this minimalist, so no big plants and not a big variety of plants will be added. I'll be very careful in what I add, but hopefully you're gonna like the end result. I finished the first island right there. I had 8 pots of Monte Carlo in total and I used 6. Now we have a lot of color. This is the Microzorum Petit and I'm going to use it in here to cover what I did. I have used 10 pots of Monte Carlo and there's 1 more left, so 11 pots in total. You don't have to do this at home, and I always say that, but if you want a Monte Carlo carpet like that and you want to buy like 3 or 4 pots, you will have to take them much smaller bunches than this. So this is how you can economize. And then you wait and it's gonna fill up and the whole thing is gonna carpet. And also, what I'm doing is I'm not planting it in patches, but basically I'm planting a carpet. So I don't just plant bushes of Monte Carlo here and there. I'm using all the space available for it because I want to change the basic look of this aquarium. I want the bright spots in the middle, period. And Monte Carlo is going to be better because it runs better, so it can actually crawl onto the rock and cover it so that the soil will not be visible along the rock. I'm done with Monte Carlo. Next one is mini coin. I'm adding the mini coin on the top. I'm applying some gel type super glue. Using new kinds of plants in your layout will add a little bit of spice, a little bit of detail to the overall look. How am I planting this? Where am I putting and why these? So I could just put it here, right? But it would look unnatural. That's not happening in the nature. Where do these plants grow in the nature? Where's little moisture. And if water's dripping down on the wood, it drips down to this place right there. That's a natural spot to put it, right? You can just put 1 or 2 different species of plants or different types of plants that actually match the intended impact of your layout. Any place that these 2 guys meet, it's gonna look good. And also it's covering the glue. This is the Denel Natural Gravel Congo. And it's gonna add the desired blackish anthracite color to the layout. So what I'm going to do is take these pebbles. I might want to remove them. Well, tweaking session. I'm not going to remove all of it, just going to remove most of it. These pebbles, I wasn't happy with them even when I built this layout. I'm going to go with the gray only. This will add the minimalist look. It's much better. Right now, I can already see that the color is inert, so it will look very unnaturally blackish around these rocks. But in the long run, you're gonna see that it's great. Yeah. Okay, we changed the look completely with this. We're in finish line with this video. I don't know what to think about the new rocks, but you guys are gonna let me know because I'm going to clean it up a little bit and then I'm going to fill it up, remineralize it because we're using the reverse osmosis water, and then wait a couple of weeks until the Monte Carlo starts to fill up and take over, hopefully. I think I managed to keep the minimalist style. I changed it quite a bit. I think it will look more mature than it was. A little bit more sophisticated, more thought over. I think this session was needed. And if you can, at home, you can follow my lead and try to make something like this in your own aquarium as well. Let's see how this whole thing looks in a couple of weeks. I will come back and let you know. So let me recap what happened to this aquarium 1 month after making the boosting session. First of all, I still love the fish. I think that these Tiger Barbs are matching this layout perfectly. It's quickly becoming one of my favorite bunch when we're talking about fish here. I kind of saved the top of the aquarium. I think that it looks much better in time, and I kind of saved the fresh layout of the aquarium with the boost session by adding all this Monte Carlo. It started to spread nicely, and it opened up and it brightened up the underwater world here. So that was a good idea. Obviously we had to cover the bottom of these trunks, so I'm also happy with that. The whole thing started to look more natural. Changing the pebbles, also a good idea. So I think that I'm gonna give myself 5 stars out of 5 on this, but you guys are gonna let me know what you think about this whole boosting session. I'm happy with it. And also in certain cases, you should not let nature take over. You do have to actually do something with the aquarium and add new plants, add new hardscape elements, tweak it a little bit. Sometimes it's okay to just leave plants grow and take over. This was not the case in this aquarium. Now that summer is here, I want to recommend you the Eheim Auto Feeder, which we don't use at the Green Aqua Gallery because we're happy with our team feeding the fish every day. But if this was my home aquarium, I would surely use it because I'm surely forgetting it every morning. Or if I go on vacation for 10 days, that's something that you can actually apply to your aquarium at the top of it. And if you have a 5E filter from Eheim, those two devices can actually talk to each other. So you can actually reduce the flow automatically with the filter when you're feeding the fish, which is a good thing that the fish food is not going to be sucked into the filter. And the food chamber has an active ventilation, which means that the food in it will not clog, it will not dampen. This auto feeder also has a good feature. It will notify you when the food level drops below 30%. It will send you an email, and then it will send you a second email when it depletes completely. With that said, let me know what you think of this tweaking session. How many stars do I get for it? And if you want to see how the build was made, you can see it over there. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.